All right, Algebra 2. So we're going to finish up the notes for quadratic formula. Just to kind of review the first example here on the left, remember that the first number or first coefficient, that's our a. So we're going to write that here. And then the second number is b. And remember there's nothing there, so it's a 1. And then the c is -2. So remember the first step we want to do is figure out the discriminant, because we want to know how many solutions are we going to end up with, or in what kind of solutions. So we're going to plug in the b, plug in the a and the c, and just evaluate that. 1 squared is 1. 4 times 9 times 2 is 72, and a negative times a positive times a negative, or really it's just two negatives becoming positive. So plus 72, add that up, it's positive 73. So right now we know that we have two real solutions. All right, so just like as you can see here, we ended up with two real numbers. Okay, so now I just take the b, I plug it in here, and then that discriminant, the 73, we already did all that work. So don't do b squared minus 4ac again. Just take the 73 and put it here. Now, if we didn't do the discriminant ahead of time, I would have to do 1 squared minus 4 times 9 times -2 and put that here. Okay, and then -1 plus and minus, remember that's part of the formula, the square root is 73. And now what I'm going to do is split these apart, okay, because remember there's your first solution you do plus the square root of 73, and the second one you do minus the square root of 73. And you can do this all in a calculator to figure out what the decimal solution is. And I want you guys to round to the nearest thousandth, okay? So that was just a review of what we did in class. All right, so now let's go to example number 2. Okay, so we have first 3x squared plus 5x equals -8. But remember the first step is put in standard form. This is not standard form because that -8 is on the other side of the equal sign. So what we want to do is move that over. So we got 3x squared. I'm going to move it over. Now it becomes, if I move it over, remember it switches the sign. So now it's plus 8 equals 0. Okay, so our a is 3, our b is 5, our c is 8. Okay, now let's find the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac. B squared, 5 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is 8. Okay, and just evaluate that out. 5 squared, 25. 4 times 3, okay, is 12. Then times 8, 96. And it's a negative times a positive, so it's still negative. Now right away I'm recognizing, boom, I know that's going to be a negative number, so that means I'm going to have two imaginary solutions or no real solutions. Alright, so let's do 25 minus 96. No shame in the calculator. Okay, minus 71. So again, no reals, but it will have two imaginaries, or two imaginary solutions. So you can expect that we're going to have I in our answer. Okay? So now let's write out the formula. X equals, again, negative b, so negative 5. Okay, plus and minus. Now remember we have b squared minus 4ac, but we already did that, so we're going to put that negative 71 inside. Over 2 times a, and our a is 3. Okay, so let's evaluate that. So we have negative 5 first. That just becomes negative 5. Okay, now there's a negative inside, so remember we said what we do with that. We take that out, and that becomes I times the square root of 71 over 2 times 3, which is 6. Now if you remember, when we have complex numbers, we split this into 2. Okay, so I'm going to take basically the denominator and put it under the 5, and then put it under the square root. So I have negative 5 over 6, plus and minus I square root of 71 over 6. Okay. So now one more step. So now negative 5 over 6 plus I square root of 71 over 6. And then the other will be x equals negative 5 plus 6 plus, sorry, not plus, minus square root of 71 over 6. Okay? Now, right now, we're going to leave it as that. Okay, but I may ask you to put in decimal form, so we have to do that kind of piece by piece. So, because remember, these numbers have to stay separate. Okay, so first we're going to do negative 5 divided by 6. So that equals negative 0.83 plus, okay, now what we're going to do is just the square root of 71 divided by 6. So square root of 71, and then divide that by 6. It's 1.4. No, and I did tell you guys to the nearest thousand, so we'll put 1.404. And now that I just put it right after. Okay? And actually, let's go back and put, this is 0.0833. The next one, now I already did negative 5 over 6. We already know that's this part, negative 0.833. But now I'm going to put minus the same thing. Because again, we already did that. Square root of 71 over 6. So now it's the same thing, just minus in the middle this time. Okay? Zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that. Okay? So the nice thing is that even though you have to split it, at least you don't have to find the decimal twice because all you're doing is changing the sign in the middle. Okay? And that's it.